These freshly baked hot cross buns are undeniably delicious. Hi, you're watching Plating It with Wendy, where I share with you recipes which impress with ease. Dotted with raisins, these hot cross buns have a hint of zesty orange and warm spice flavors. So let's get started. Let's start by preparing the raisins. For this recipe, we're going to go in with 3/4 cup of raisins, and to that we're going to add half a cup of orange juice. This is going to help the raisins to plump up and also infuse them with the orange flavor. You could even infuse them with some Grand Marnier, brandy or rum. And now let's heat this up in the microwave for about 30 seconds. Now we're going to leave this aside to rest so that they plump up. For the orange zest and for the glaze that we're going to be using on these hot cross buns, we're going to go in with 5 generous tablespoons of marmalade. And to that we're going to add 3 tablespoons of water. And now we're going to microwave this for 30 seconds so that we can thin out the mix. We're going to give this a good whisk so that the marmalade and the water get well combined. We're going to pour this through a sieve. We're going to use this orange zest in our dough, which is going to give the dough that lovely orange flavor. And we're going to use the syrup to glaze the buns once they're baked. To get that nice rise to our dough, we're going to be using dry active yeast. To a bowl, we're going to add 1 cup of warm milk, which is about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. To that, we're going to toss in 1 tablespoon of sugar and 2.5 teaspoons of dry active yeast. The yeast is going to feed up the sugar and get activated. We're going to cover this up with a plastic wrap and keep it aside for about 10 minutes in a warm place till it gets nice and frothy. And now it's time to start preparing our dough. For that, we're going to aerate the flour so that we don't get any excess, and we're going to spoon it into our measuring cup. And now we're gently going to level it off. And there we have 1 cup. And we're going to go in with a total of 4 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. Following this method, you're going to get just the right amount of flour every time. And to that, we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt, 1/3 cup of white granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of packed light brown sugar. And for those warm flavors, we're going to go in with 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of freshly ground cardamom, 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, and 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated nutmeg. And with the paddle attachment, we're going to give the dry ingredients a mix. The yeast is activated really well, and to that we're going to add 1 large egg, which is at room temperature, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Give this a whisk so that we break up the egg and it all mixes up well. Now we're going to add this to the flour mixture, and we're going to drop in the orange zest, which we had set aside earlier from the marmalade. Now let's bring the dough together. Now that the dough has almost come together, we moved on to our dough hook to get that nice smooth dough, and we're going to add 7 tablespoons of butter, which is at room temperature, and that's about approximately 100 grams. The dough may look tacky initially, but we're going to keep kneading it on a medium speed for 8 minutes, and it will come together to form a nice smooth dough. Now that our dough is ready, let's put it in a well-oiled bowl to rise. We're going to oil the bowl all around. This is going to help the dough not to stick to the bowl when it rises. We're going to place the dough into the bowl, and we're just going to brush the surface too with a little bit of oil. This is going to prevent the dough from drying up on the top. And see how soft the dough is? It's just springing back. We're going to cover this with a plastic wrap and keep it in a warm place to rise for approximately 2 hours, by which time it should double in size. Now that the dough has risen and doubled in size, it's time to knock it down and form the hot cross buns. We're going to knock it down and spread it out a little bit so that we can now add in our raisins. We're going to drain off all the excess orange juice and just take the raisins out, and we're going to sprinkle them all over. And now we're going to roll it up so that they get well distributed in the dough. And then another roll. Now just let's knead this a little bit to make sure that all the raisins are mixed well with the dough. I think that's good. And to get those perfectly sized buns, I like to weigh my dough to 65 grams for each bun. And we're going to get around 16 buns. Wow, we're perfect this time. Spot on. Now let's start forming the buns. Press it down a little bit, then bring the edges to the center. We're going to take it all around. Then give it a pinch and a twist. And in the ball of our hand, we're going to keep swerving it around using our thumb and little finger as the guide till we form a nice round ball. And there you have it. Now let's place it in our lined baking tray. Just going to press the dough down first, then bring the edges to the center, turning it simultaneously. And when you're done, give it a pinch and a twist. And now we're going to put it on the board. And once again, roll, roll, roll. Till you get a perfect bun. Let's place it along with the others. Brush on some oil onto the plastic wrap and cover the buns and place them in a warm place to rise for 1.5 hours. The oil is going to prevent the buns from sticking onto the plastic wrap when they rise. We have just a few minutes left on our second rise, so let's get the egg wash ready. We're going to go in with 1 large egg, which is at room temperature. And to that we're going to add 1 tablespoon of heavy cream. Let's whisk this together. I find adding heavy cream to an egg wash gives the buns that lovely golden color. You could also replace the cream with milk. We're gently going to brush the egg wash onto the buns, making sure that we get it all around. I'm already getting the aroma of all those lovely spices that we put into the dough. I'm telling you, these are going to be delicious. To make those classic crosses on the buns, we're going to take 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour and add in a pinch of salt, a dash of vanilla, and about 5 tablespoons of water. You could add more water or flour if you need. We're just going to whisk it and keep adding the water till we get that desired consistency. And that's the consistency you're looking for. Now let's empty this into a piping bag. You could even use a Ziploc bag if you don't have a piping bag. Just going to give it a twist to make sure there are no air pockets. And we're going to snip the tip off the bag depending upon how thick you would like the cross to be. Now let's start piping on the crosses, and we're going to go down in one direction. And now let's complete the cross. Now let's pop them into the oven, preheated at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for approximately 20 to 25 minutes. And now for that added gloss, we're going to brush on the glaze that we had made with the marmalade earlier. We're gently going to brush it on all around, and we're going to allow it to rest for at least 15 minutes so that the glaze gets a chance to set. Oh my goodness, just look at that. Wow, look at all those raisins and the orange zest. This is going to be amazing. Just going to put some of the marmalade on it. Oh, wow. I'm sure if you give this recipe a try, you're going to love these hot cross buns. I can't wait any longer. Let's give this a taste. Hey, and before I go, if you enjoy my videos and love my recipes but haven't subscribed already, subscribe and don't forget to hit that bell icon to get a notification every time I upload a new video. And while you're at it, hit that like button and leave me your comments below. Thanks for watching. See you soon.